What's good, YouTube? We're talking college sports in the Deep South where college football is keen on the plains of Auburn. The battle cry is War Eagle. Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart. We're here on the podcast again talking Auburn football talk, as we always do on this channel. And let's go ahead before we get started. We got some housewarming rules. First of all, I need you guys to subscribe to the channel, which is not hard to do. Just go out and click that little bell on the side. Click all so that you can get all of the information. We come on this thing damn near every day, sometimes twice a day. Okay? Need you to go ahead and do that to get this thing out of the way. Also, I need you all to comment in the comment section how you feel about some of the topics that we talk about, because I get a lot of great information from the comment section. Matter of fact, a lot of my video inspiration comes from a lot of what you guys comment. Guys and gals, don't want to leave the ladies out. Comment in the comment section. And as always, on the plains of Auburn, the battle cry is War Eagle. And on this channel, it's always great to be an Auburn Tiger. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about recruiting. Now, this is going to be somewhat, I guess, elaborate, and it could be up for debate, because we talk about recruiting classes, we talk about recruiting ratings and all those different things. And I see in the comment section where people ask the question, well, hey, do you think Auburn will have a 5-star recruit in this particular recruiting class for 2020? As a matter of fact, in 2019, even with the shaky perception of Gus Malzahn, Auburn actually had 2 and had a chance at 3 with George Pickens. Lost George Pickens. Let's just say if George Pickens would have, committed to Auburn and wound up being an Auburn Tiger, you're talking about a recruiting class for Auburn of, say, maybe 5 or 6, maybe 7 instead of the 11. Now, I will go and say this. I would rather have the recruiting class that Auburn had at number 11 than for one guy to push my recruiting class all the way up to number 6. Because if you think about it, it's all about ratings, not necessarily all about what you need. So let's just say Auburn gets George Pickens, which would have been a great get. I'm not going to downplay the get. However, if you think about what Auburn needs and what you talk about as far as like sustainability roster wise, you kind of don't need one guy that pushes you that far up. What you need is what we're going to talk about in a few minutes. Now, let's just give a brief little synopsis of how this whole 24/7 and all this other stuff works. Now, you have your crazy recruits like your Jadeveon Clowneys, who was a 1.0 recruit, a once-in-a-lifetime guy. Myles Garrett for Texas A&M, once-in-a-lifetime kind of guys. There's some others that I could name, but I'm, just for the interest of saving time, we're not going to talk about those. Then you got your 5-star recruits. Like, say, for example, for Auburn, you got your Bo Nix. You have your Owen Pappo, and in the past, you got your Derrick Browns. These guys, these are the program stabilizing type guys. As a matter of fact, going into the 2019 season, Auburn was really head over heels with the fact that Derrick Brown decides to come back. Why? Well, Derrick Brown is a very talented defensive lineman. I don't think Derrick Brown had accentuated his possibilities at Auburn. Yes, he could have gone on and, been a high draft pick, maybe early second round. Now, looking at last year's draft, I don't think Derrick Brown would have been a first round pick, but I really think he would have been a sure-in for an early second round. But either way, having a guy like this back, helps with solidification of talent carryover. Okay. That's one of the things that helps with having consistent 5-star recruits is that carryover of elite talent. Now, the 5-star recruit, I'm going to help you fans out with this a little bit. The odds of your team, just at the whole scope of college football, Power 5, non-Power 5, the odds of your team having a 5-star recruit is not really that good. Because typically the 5-star recruit is only about 30 players. And you talk about well over 100 teams in FBS football. Here's the caveat to that. The odds are narrowed down when you start talking about Power 5 football. Talk about ACC, Big East, Big 12, SEC, Big 10, and did I mention ACC? Yeah, the ACC, also the Pac-12. That's when the odds start to go into your favor if you are a fan of a Power 5 team. Most of the 5-star recruits are going to go and have to be distributed within those particular teams. Now, it just all depends where these guys go. As much as folks like to revere Alabama, Alabama does a great job odds-wise of getting these 5-star recruits because on average, over the past 4 or 5 years, Alabama has had about 4, on average, 5-star recruits on their team. Each year, though, the lowest was 2 of them. Now, when you think about it over the years, when you start to compile the 5-star recruits, we're talking about the top end now. You compile the 5-star recruits, that adds that elite talent. That's where you get jokers like Jerry Jeudy and, maybe Tua Tagovailoa was a high-end 4-star recruit, I think. But you start to get that crazy talent, and it starts to pile up like your Reuben Fosters and guys like that. But then what I feel is the most important part, and this is the most important part of any business entity when you start talking about recruiting and human resource, is the middle, guys. That's where you want to look at. That separates the top classes from the, say, 11 ranked classes like what Auburn had this past year. That middle is huge because you have your 99 and 1%. That only represents about 25 guys. But the 4-star recruit is where the gold is. Okay? Because with the 4-star recruit, there's such leeway. You're talking about average rating wise between, say, 97, low end 98, 97 all the way to about 90 something. That's a 4-star recruit. But what if your team happens to have, say, a lot of in the middle 97, then you go down about 5 guys, 96, 3 or 4 more guys, 94, then about, maybe 2 or 3 more guys in the 90s, you have a solid level of talent in your recruiting class. So I'm not saying that you don't need to put a lot of stock in the 5-star guys, but what you really want to look at is more so, what's the middle look like? What's that talent in the middle? Where does the drop off start? Because that's what I look at, say, even with Auburn. Okay, you got 2 5-star guys that's driving the rating, that's getting your average rate up. But what's happening in the middle that's helping to anchor the average rating for recruiting classes? And I think that's where we miss the mark. Because I'll just say this. If you even think about, say, the average business enterprise, if you have like 2 1% guys, but you have a whole bunch of 80s in the middle, yes, you'll have a high recruiting class, but what's the quality look like? But if you have 2 1%ers and you have a lot of 97s, 96, 95s, 93s, and then it tapers off around 88, then that's where your recruiting classes become more quality. It's great to be able to talk trash, say about, recruiting a Justin Fields, but where's the quality? Georgia had some quality in that recruiting class, even with Justin Fields. But what I'm saying is, what difference does it make if you can get a 5-star in Justin Fields? He doesn't find his way at Georgia, then he transfers. Same way with Byron Coward at Auburn. 5-star recruit, best recruit of that year, but he just drove the number. It's almost like fudging the numbers. The ideal recruiting class that you want to have in a Power 5 team is maybe 2 5-stars, but you have that thing really solid in the middle with those high-end 4-stars for about maybe 5 or 6 recruits, tapering off around the middle, around about 95, 96, tapering off around about 93, and then kind of easing out into that 88, 89. And if you look at some of the more high-end Power 5 teams, most of, and Alabama, it shows up on the field. Alabama, their lowest recruits are in the special teams, okay? Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn. Just want to give you guys a little bit more awareness of how to look at the recruiting class. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle. Now, this is kind of a different type of video. I understand the opposition, but I really would love to know your synopsis, your own individual synopsises of this in the comment section, because I probably didn't get this right. But more often than not, the 24/7 composite is right, and the other 5 or 10% is not. As always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger on this channel. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. War Eagle.